right, I think the video came up. The audio is up, so we're close.
Yay!
Yes, my phone just said bozo control.
That's a bad thing. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's head over to the green room, the jingle singers, and all that good stuff.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Yeah, I think this is the Old Tube Radio Network. You know that place that's on Saturday evenings on Channel 11, 27085 that's been going on for, I don't know, 35 years? This is probably that place, known as the Old Tube Radio Network, where real radios glow in the dark. And if all goes well, we'll be checking in, talking with and talking about our radio collectors, our tube radio collectors here tonight. We'll be checking in with the SWLs and maybe a few other items of interest as well. Let me see if I can find the camera to the control room. Oh, there it is. All right. And we're still kind of in the COVID no haircut style thing here. So I said, I'll go with it. I went into that closet for those watching the video, to try and find the oldest shirt I could find, and I found a green shirt. So I don't know if Chrissy is out there tonight, but I actually do. I thought for sure I didn't have a green shirt. Look at the collar on this thing. If I go out in a high wind, I'm going to take off like who was it? The Flying Nun? Who was that? Karen Ballantyne. I'm going to take off like the Flying Nun with this collar. I'm sure this is a shirt from the 70s, but that will be apropos for our radios checking in tonight from 1958 to 1978. My name is Dennis, one of the net controllers who have sat in the air chair here for the past 35 years, and we hope you will be able to join us tonight. If not on the air, perhaps at oldtuberadio.net, on your Universal Media Network audio stream, or perhaps over on the YouTube video thing, which is something we started doing a while or so ago. So with that in mind, let me pop up the right screen here, and we will continue, or we will start as soon as I find my papers. Here we go. Let's try 00. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Dennis. 00, check it in.
You sound great, and can you hear me okay tonight? I'll take that as a yes. Thanks, Paul. All right, 00 is checked in. SWL number 1 on the cosmic check-in, who says, you can do better. All right, I will endeavor to do better. SWL number 2, who is out and about listening on the video stream. Let me see. I have a picture. Before I go any farther, where did I put it? Is it there? Yes. Okay. Back when we got the 1987 Radio Shack pictures in, let me go over to this camera. Take a look at this. Take a look at this handsome dude from 33 years ago. There it is, SWL number 2. That is not a Band-Aid on his head. I think that's a piece of paper that was stuck to the photo that X4000 sent. But I don't know. Kevin, do you still have those glasses? Sitting in the Radio Shack from 33 years ago, there's the World Globe, the Yaesu 101 landliner speaker, and the 1984 call book. But that is SWL number 2. Back in the good old days. All right, I hope Eleanor was able to see that one. Thanks for checking in. Over we go to SWL3. SWL4. SWL5. I will check in Mama Rose. Ida saw earlier in the week, and she is looking good, and she is feeling good, and she says, say hello to everybody. So that's what we're doing. Get the right video up there. SWL6. SWL7.
SWL7 checking in. I have to comment that, when I first met Kevin, he did not look like that. So that was even before I met him. And that wasn't too far after OTR started.
Yeah, that was a 1987 photo. I don't know what he looks like now. I don't know if he's got his 1970s shirt still going. He might still have those big glasses on. I don't know.
Well, I know that I had color in my hair, and now it's gray.
I just have too much hair. I guess that's not a bad thing at my age. Just I'd like a little bit less, maybe. There you go. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we all look like in another 35 years. SWL, where are we going? SWL 13. Oh, and I should see if my comments came up. Yes, they did. So I've got comments to look at for check-ins. I also have comments to look at for the YouTube page. I'll get to that. We'll do maybe at the end of page 1 here. We'll check in with our digital listeners. Over to SWL 14. It's the green shirt. I like that. This is a very comfortable shirt from, I don't know, this is what, 40 years old? The material in this is great. They don't even make stuff like this anymore. I don't know what they're doing. What are they doing these days? SWL 15. SWL 16. SWL 17.
17 checking in.
And 17 is checking in. Eric, I do not have a picture of you from 35 years ago, so you are safe. He says he's glad. SWL 18. Getting Mikey checked in via the Facebook page. And over to 14047, SWL 19. Thank you, 19. He was right on time. We got everything set up on the pre-show, and everything tested well, and everything so far, keeping our fingers crossed, is working greatly. So thanks up there to Derby, New York. Over to SWL 20.
SWL 20 from the Radio Auditorium. Please check in 29 and 54. And we'll catch you a little later.
All right. Good to have you in the radio auditorium. It sounds better. I can tell they've been working on the PA system there. Just get the stage lights ready to go, and we will be talking with you shortly.
Yeah, I think they hung some of the curtain in the auditorium. Catch you in a little bit.
You've probably got that big, thick 20-foot high curtain that hangs behind you there. It actually works. Sounding good. Then over to SWL 21, Mr. JT from the Wasama Swamps in South Carolina, hostess with the mostest on Old Radio Night, which was on tonight with, I wonder if 77 is out there, the Cobra Cam 88 was the radio featured tonight. Let me get you checked in. I am going to go over, it sounds like I'm not even in front of the microphone. There we go. I'm going to go over, this never works, but I'm going to try it anyway. Go over to the audio board and see if we can't just jump into a little bit of Old Radio Night tonight, the Dynascam Cobra Cam 88. Here we go. Let's see if it...
that North Charleston would sing Hello, Dennis, to give him his special signature song there. Yeah, just wait. Don't go 10-7.
This is audio. This is audio from Old Radio Night.
Old Tube Radio Network. Captain Wayne get me singing. How you tell him? He plans to push more whiskey in his guts that make him sound better. Check in at the Old Tube Radio Network. Oh, yeah.
You'll have to start all over again. Crazy Man keyed up on you.
We actually heard that pretty good. I queued it up to the right spot, I think. Thanks for the Old Tube Radio Network check-in song. Perfectly timed for what we are doing right now, because that's what we are doing, is checking people in at the Old Tube Radio Network. And 21 is checked in. Thank you. SWL 22. SWL 23. SWL 24. Shortwave listener 25.
25 checking in.
825 sounding good. I've been working late every night tonight, so I missed the Wednesday night item. I hope all was going well on that.
Everything's just going fine and not a problem. And in fact, I'm rolling the net this Wednesday, so I'll make sure if you don't show up, I'll make sure to proxy you in. Anyway, thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks. And that is SWL 25, Mr. Sidekick out in Madera Heights. One of the net controllers in the net that happens on Wednesday. Now my internet's not working. There we go. That happens on Wednesday evenings here in the Central Valley of California at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on 28,445 upper sideband. So those of you SWLs, and also if you were licensed for the band up there, join us, won't you, locally and perhaps in the DX world on the Central Valley 10-meter check-in at on Wednesday evenings. You will hear a lot of these you will hear familiar voices. If you listen to OTR, you will hear some of the same voices checking in on that on Wednesday nights on 28,445. Heading over to page 2. Before I do, let me see who is in the stands. Not a lot of people. Starting up, way up in the balcony. Hello to Oakland, Maryland. We have an Oakland, California that checks in as well. But Oakland, Maryland, Springfield, Missouri, Columbia, South Carolina, Inglewood, Colorado is in. Hello to Hendersonville, Tennessee. We're coming up to you. Canby, Oregon. We're coming up to you. Another Inglewood, Colorado. I don't know if it's I'm getting an echo or what, but that's a good thing. Maybe we will have some skip. There is some sunspot activity happening. We had South America coming in earlier before the net, so you just never know. Hello to Charleston, South Carolina, Dallas, Georgia, coming up to you. Centerville, Virginia. Hello to you, Somerville, South Carolina. Squamish, BC. The gang from British Columbia, Squamish boys waving a hand just over 17 minutes ago. Hello to you. Derby, New York, right in the front. Anoka, Minnesota. Charles and the gang out there. Woodland Park, Colorado. If there's a station that's going to hear us tonight, it would be Woodland Park, Colorado. In Hubert, North Carolina, and a host of others. We'll check in with the video people after page 2. Hello to Rodney. Rodney's checking in with JT. Charlie is checking in. And Bob 111 says a groovy shirt. This is back in the days when you could get a groovy shirt like this. I have no idea where I got this. I have no idea where I got this shirt. It's that old. Okay, let's continue. SWL 27. Was that a 27 over? The break OTR, go ahead. Okay, yeah, the audio is having issues there, but it came through that time. So, Joseph, I've got you checked in. SWL 27. And heading up to Idaho, where we just don't have the conditions now, because I know if we did, Chris would be popping in and saying, break OTR. Let's see. I know you are there, because I saw you on the screen, but I will get to all our video listeners in there, and I do see 28 who weigh in on the green shirt. This is the best. This is the best I can do. But from 1970, whatever. What can you expect? To SWL 29, we've got a proxy check-in for the loaner, and also in the RFI zone out of Idaho, Dwayne SWL 30 also listening in tonight. Thank you. SWL 31. I see that We have Hendersonville, Tennessee in tonight. I will indeed try to refresh my comments to make sure I get everybody that's checking in when they check in and make sure that all is well. Next, we go to SWL 32. Let's see, I got a note to proxy in SWL 32, so I will do that. SWL 33, myself, Boso Control, the Jingle Singers, and anybody else that might wander into the green room tonight that needs to check in. All right, I see the traffic has stopped at the intersection. That must mean that the railroader is coming down the tracks, and indeed there is Jimmy right where I need to see him on my screen from 546 Batavia, Illinois. Well, you can tell this is a West Coast guy. Never gets out of the house. Checking in. Thank you, Jimmy. And looks like it's clear. It is clear across the road once again. Over to SWL 35, Mr. Bill, who I did see checking in from Smoky, Cheyenne. Bill, I'm sorry about that. We sent smoke your way, and we didn't really intend to do that. It has been better here for the smoke. Talked to some of the people who evacuations have been lifted, and some of the quarantined areas, people have been able to go back and assess the damage. I talked to one of the engineers that had a cabin up there since the 1920s, and there ain't nothing left. So it's still kind of a grim situation, but at least people are getting up the hill to see what they need to do. Let's go over to SWL 36. SWL 37.
SWL 30. Hello. Is this thing working? Hello?
It's there, but you have weak audio, as you can tell.
Hello. When I got straight, there it is.
Yeah, look, you can see the wiggle meters now.
Yes, sir. It's wiggling. I guess I wasn't getting down hard enough or whatever. But anyway, SWL 37 checking in. Over.
Yeah, you're about 70% right now, so it'll. That's why this is one reason we do the old tube radio network, so that your old tube radios just don't sit around for years and not get used. You have an opportunity every Saturday evening to check them in. So I think by the time radio check-ins come along, that will be ready to go.
Hopefully, yes. I think it is now.
It's sounding marvelous, and we got you checked in.
All right, thank you, Dennis.
SWL 38. SWL 39. And there's Robert Teresa on the big board. I did get you guys checked in. Over to SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in. It's partly cloudy skies and 80 degrees.
Down to 80. It was about 85 when we started. You know what? My temperature gauge is not there. It must have fallen down. It's behind all the stuff here, and I'm looking, and it's not there. So it's probably down behind something, but I will take your word for it. It was a nice day today. We're getting that late summer weather where it's actually kind of nice. Over to SWL 41. Let's go over to the big screen for Road Dog 507 out of New York, and he's checking in. SWL 41, WWS 507, AC 244. That's the Alpha Charlies. Also, the 21 S 507. I probably said that wrong. Hudson Valley saying hello to the West Coast. Thank you, 507. SWL 42.
Yeah, that's Proxy and 42 in the game.
All right, well, Proxy and 42 in the game. Boy, it is. I don't know why the internet is slow tonight. So much for paying for that extra stuff. All right, we'll get the group proxied in there. SWL 43.
Hello, Dennis. 43, we're checking in.
checking in and doing a good job, sounding good into Midtown tonight. Over.
Thank you, sir. You sounded pretty good tonight yourself.
All right, thanks to your great receiver. I got you checked in. All right, here's another one we're gonna try. I think I can. SWL 44.
I know I can.
Hello, 360 over. You know, he might be out doing stuff. I haven't seen him on any of the big bulletin boards yet, but we will keep an ear out.
Is that Ray?
That is Mr. Ray.
That's Proxium.
All right, will do. Then the guy that got us started out as 00 on the 2-for-1 coupon. Hello, Paul.
Sounded good, Dennis. 45 checking in again.
Okay, well, we're keeping our fingers crossed that the radio will hold up for another hour and a half tonight. Thanks for checking in. SWL 46. SWL 47.
Well, good evening from the Radio Lounge, SWL 47, where it's nice to be checking in on a D104 that I think it's heavier than the apparatus that I'm making my livelihood on these days. Anyways, on that, 73.
Yeah, you never know from day to day. It looks like it could be getting better. You just never know. So hang in there, and hopefully you are keeping up with however it is you have to do, whatever it is that you do these days. Let me go back to page 1, where I do believe I have somehow made the faux pas of not checking in SWL 23, putting the X in the square because 23 Skidoo, although he moves around a lot, trying to slip up net control, I managed to find him on my bulletin board, hanging on the beach by the fire, listening to an amazing musical duo, the Timbuk2. I wonder what instruments the Timbuk2 plays. My guess is it's probably an accordion and a didgeridoo. So that's why it sounds so amazing. Mitch, we've got you checked in. Sorry about not getting you at the appropriate time. 47 is in. Let's try SWL 48. SWL 49. SWL 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
Near Sangertown, 305. Sounding good, Dave.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
And SWL 53. Mr. Belair, hello, Bob. But you are sounding good on the old Tube Radio Network, and we have you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Heading over to page 3, but before I do, let me go over to the bulletin board on the video side. Mitch, during intermission, they play a hurdy-gurdy too. That is one instrument I would actually like to have, is a hurdy-gurdy, kind of cranking. It's sort of a crankable fiddle, if you will. Very, very ornate. But hurdy-gurdy is cool. That and the didgeridoo might work well. Who else is out there? Johnny Defiant, KZZ 4949. Wait a minute. Do I have the control to do it correctly? I'm looking for the right knob here. I think it's Johnny Defiant. Yeah, okay. I got it. Then we've got... Oh, hey, there's DDX. He is checking in. Sorry, Ray, I missed you by not looking. So we'll get the proxy check-in out, and we'll put the real check-in 44 where it needs to go. And he is listening. All right, very good. Who Who else is out? The mighty Sierra Romeo out in Foreland. Hello, Keith, from Rocky Mountain, Virginia. Arizona, where you are in the DX skip zone tonight. If we can get some short E-skip, we might be hearing Arizona Magnum Red. He's got probably the 10K Magnum antenna ready to go here to get into Fresno, California tonight. Reminding me that I need to get the popcorn after the show. Popcorn 913 is listening in tonight. Also, Gary saying good evening and hope that the elevator is working. I will see. We'll check in with the Bob and Steve show in a moment or two. Haven't had dinner yet. Hope they have something good in the green room. I will see what the menu is. They always come up with something. So if you can make the short drive down 99 through Modesto and make it past the Pilot truck stop. Don't stop there. Come on into the green room and we'll have something good for you for sure. Also, Paul Vines is listening in, and CB Radio News is also tuning in. Check out CB Radio News on your favorite Facebook page. Phil, I see you. We will get you checked in. 79 is there, and a host of others as well. All right. Page 4, SWL 54. We'll get the cosmic check-in. Seems to be working. And SWL 55.
What about 53?
53 checked in just fine. 55 from the remote location. I hope I know they're letting people up the hill, so hopefully you've been able to get up there and do, or at least start what you need to do. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah, we got to start. Back up on me. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, got you checked in. Over to SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
Got you checked in, Phil. I was trying to get some water. I'm shouting. I'm talking too fast here. Have to go back to the old FM DJ sound. Grandpa, we've got you checked in. Just for kicks, as he says. Who's next? SWL 57. And that is Brown Dog Audio. Let me go back to... it says his phone is trying to update. So for some reason, I'm not able to get on when my time comes around. Can someone proxy SWL 57 in for me? No need. I see your check in there, and hey, it looks like it came back. Looks like it came back there. I'll make sure. I've got Road Dogs in. Brown Dogs in. What's the song? Who Let the Dogs Out? All right, so Central Kentucky is in. Let's go to, let me make the check mark so it'll say checked in. Thanks. SWL 58.
I think you're going to have to proxy him in. He's working tonight. He's got a Mary Kay sale going on there. So if you guys need any Mary Kay products, Jeremy's the one to see. Oh, and for the ladies, too. Does he drive the pink car?
You know it.
Working on it.
Yeah, you know it. Have you... I have seen him tooling down Gettysburg, down in the old Fig Garden section where you have to stop at every corner, and he's got that 102-inch whip on the pink Cadillac. I don't think he's doing as well. I noticed he had a 62. He didn't have the 59 with the bullet taillights. He had the 62 Cadillac with that 102-inch whip. Every time he would stop, the thing would just go back, and the whip would just go back and forth, and they'd start up real slow, because, it's a 62 Cadillac. What do you want? And he'd get to the next stop sign, and the 102-inch whip would go back and forth. So, we're all keeping our fingers crossed that he's going to do a little bit better in the upcoming months and maybe upgrade to the 59 Caddy.
Roger.
And maybe get co-phased whips. Or a Wilson antenna. No, you don't want to drill holes. You don't want to drill holes in the caddy. Let's go to SWL 59. SWL 60.
Thank you, Dennis, and evening time to the fellas out there. SWL 60 checking in with my 457 Realistic Navajo.
457 is sounding good. I have, what do I have? 58? It's the one with only, is that got the dual meters?
Yeah, dual meters, and the military time, the clock.
All right, you got the big set. I've got the little brother to that. I think it's a 58 or 458. That is a highly rated set. I think it's a unit and chassis that everybody likes. It's sounding good.
Thank you much. You say that's a 28 you have?
No, I have a 458 that only has a single meter.
458, okay. Thanks.
Now, you've got the deluxe. Directed net roll call. Did I mention that this is the old Tube Radio Network? 27085 is where we are at if you're trying to get us on the long haul DX. If you can't do that, check us at oldtuberadio.net. And YouTube video seems to be up and running. The purpose of this gathering, one, is to keep CB alive, maybe give people who are new to the, we'll call it the hobby. I know the FCC doesn't like that. New to the hobby, a little taste of what citizen band radio sounded like back in the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. I don't know. We've got some great shortwave listeners and tube radio operators, and they will be coming through tonight with some great radio, so stay tuned for that. Looking for SWL 61.
61, checking in, Dennis.
Hey, and there's one of them. There's one of the guys that probably bought an old tube radio brand new back in the day. Got you checked in, Dean. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
SWL 62. SWL 63. And 63 is Butterbean in northeast Georgia. I don't think I see him on the board. I will put a little check mark there to check back to see if Butterbean is out there. Was Butterbean on Old Radio Night tonight? He definitely get it. I'll give him a proxy if he was. SWL 64. SWL 65. Hey, Eric, good to hear you. And hope you can make it through all the calamity up there. Thanks for taking some time out Saturday evening to say hello to all of us. We got you checked in. All right, Marshmallow at the microphonium. Let's go to, I think I might have heard this guy earlier, SWL 66.
Rogers there, Dennis. See if the old Hammerlin will still make it. SWL 66 checking in.
Waving a hand, the Witch Doctor. Even wrote a song about this guy. He's so cool. We got you checked in, Jim. Thanks for remembering, as you have been doing for what, 30 years? More than that. The Saturday night place to be.
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
Next, we've got SWL 67. That is Bill, who is listening in online up there in Canby, Oregon. I didn't check the location. I don't know how you guys did for fires and things out that way. Hope all went well for you, Bill. And we've got you checked in. Thanks for listening in. Keep listening. Keep 27085. We've had a little bit of skip earlier in the evening. You just never know what'll happen. SWL 68. SWL 69. I don't see Kenny live and direct, but he will be checking in. He does. He checked in last week watching the video. So, Kenny, if you are watching, I've got you checked in. Anybody want to say hello to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and SWL 69?
Hello, Kenny, and 73s from Dennis.
Hi, Kenny. It's 603. Sorry you lost Oklahoma College game. Be talking to you soon.
Hello, Kenny from the Ditch Banks of Iowa.
Waving a hand, Kenny.
All right, Kenny, I hope you were taking notes. That's a lot of typing you're going to have to do. All right, Miss Kenny here at the live and direct, but glad he can listen in. SWL 70. SWL 71, right at the top of my page. Mr. Announcer with the RCA 44 microphonium from Dallas, Georgia. In Foreland, the Sierra Hotel Whiskey. I'm not even sure. I did not even get to the radio today. I don't know what's going on with the bands. I didn't check into 20 meters. Don't know what contests are going. Don't know what QSO party is up and running. But, you know, Stan knows all that stuff. So I hope it was something good. Thanks, 71, for checking in. Over to Clovis, looking for Eric, SWL 72. SWL 73.
I'll give old John the proxy.
I will give him a proxy check-in. You know, he could definitely do some damage with some of his AM gear that will go into the Class D 11-meter band. I'll have to talk to that guy. SWL 74. We'll get 74 checked in. Miss Jilly. SWL 75. SWL 77.
Good evening, Dennis, and 73 is all the listeners. 77 here on the Tower of Power in the Tower District, waving a hand.
Sounding good. Got you checked in. They had the Cobra Cam 88 on Old Radio Night tonight, looking good with that modulation light blinking. Sounding good. Got you checked in.
Check.
And hello, Chowchilla. Hello, Chowchilla. Over. Somebody with the radios, tell Chowchilla 46 that we're hearing him. That would be your Rush, 7144 out there in Chowchilla. 46, we've got you checked in. Over.
Hey, 46, you're checked in.
You're checked in, 46.
All right, I could be hearing things, but I distinctly heard the word Chowchilla. Let's try SWL 78. Yeah, I heard you, Rush. 7144, over. Doing a good job from Chowchilla. SWL 79, I will get a check-in for Mr. DC, who was waving a hand on the video side tonight. And SWL 80. Turning the page to page 4, but let's see what's happening over in the Bob and Steve show. What's happening in the green room tonight? For those dining and dancing tonight, the Jingle Singers told Bob and Steve that they should help with the elect bill. Oh, the electric bill. All right. I don't want to get political here. We don't want to say we're going to elect anybody, but the electrical bill. So we are putting in 4 more solar cells to help carry the load on the card. I think we're going to need a lot more than 4. Bob and Steve put in the putt-putt 3-hole putting green in the clubs. The Jingle Singers hung 6 new OTR towel bars in the steam room. That seems to be the popular place, that steam room. And the bar tonight, here you go. Who was asking? It was Gary. Pulled pork sandwiches and Texas fries. I don't even know if I've ever had a pulled pork sandwich. And I may have had Texas fries before, so save some for me. I'll be there after the net tonight. Come on down after the net. Page 4, SWL 81. Hello, Steve Areno, wherever you are. Getting a check-in from Mr. Unicorn, who is somewhere, he said. How about SWL? I know this guy's out there. SWL 82.
Yes, SWL 82 checking in from the Ditch Banks of Iowa. Good evening.
And good evening. You're still sounding good.
Thank you. I'm on my quiet inside radio.
Yeah, unlike me, after 2 hours, nothing ever sounds good around here. It must be the good soil out that way.
Yeah, it must be the sandy soils of Biola.
Okay, let's see. I've got my the station that checks in from Germany. I think said I look like Keith Richards with this. I'm feeling like Keith Richards, I think, with this setup. Let's try SWL 84. And hello to Germantown, Wisconsin, joining us, and Seaside, California, listening in. I'm going to get the group 84, 86, 87, and 88. I'll get you all checked in, and that will take me over to SWL 85. Let's try SWL 89. I'll get you a check-in for 89 from Facebook. Then we've got a proxy for SWL 90. And SWL 92. SWL 93. Louis always seems to manage. I heard you in there, Louis, if you're listening. It's always right when I'm jumping around putting wires together. So Louis is checked in. He's probably on the replay. I hope you're taking it easy, because you deserve it, Louis. So thanks for checking in. SWL 98.
Check it in, Dennis.
All right, Dave out there south of me a bit, 544. Got you checked in.
Thank you very much.
And let's see if he's got the mobile radio cranked up. SWL 103. SWL 109. And hello to, just checking in here, listening in on oldtuberadio.net. Hello from Bonnie Lake. Just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Tacoma. Listening into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight here in Central California. 27085 is the frequency we are at. If you're in the RF zone, let's see if SWL 110 is out there tonight. SWL 111. I heard you, Robert. If you're listening on the stream, you were actually making it into the receiver with no problem. I'm getting you checked in. Over. I just think he still has a high noise level there, but that transmitter does work on AM. SWL 113. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
114, Rickshaw, thank you for checking in.
Thank you for the check-in.
Then over to SWL 128. If I scroll down, more than likely, I will see 43 minutes ago, it says SWL 128 checking in. John Lee out of Fairfax, Virginia. Thank you, 128. SWL 131. SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 checking in.
And sounded good, Dave, into the radio tonight. We got you checked in. And let's see, next, drum roll, please. SWL 135.
SWL 135 checking in.
All right, SWL 135 checking in with an interesting sound. Stay tuned. We will find out more about that interesting sound in just a moment. Thank you, Cliff. We've got a proxy check-in for SWL 137. Let me try Tony direct. I actually have a message from 145. Hello, 145, over. Let me see if I can find it here. Tony is actually out there, and he checked in via Facebook, and he made a comment, I guess, from this week. He says, hello, Dennis and all the SWLs. Your outfit last week got me thinking the hippies finally got their way. It's now illegal to get a haircut, and marijuana is legal. So there you go. All right. Thanks, Tony, for waxing poetic. Over to SWL 147. You know, I have not seen Kakalaki, and sometimes he jumps in really early on the video stream, and I miss it. So I will keep an eye out to see if indeed he pops in there. So if you're listening, Neil, and I missed you, I will make sure I get you. SWL 195. 195,
checking in, Dennis. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Good signal. I'm having good signals from the Far Out guys. The groovy and the Far Out guys tonight. Thanks, Jim. Son, we're gonna be hippies. We're gonna be all groovy and Far Out. I think it was back in 1967. I wanted to be a hippie, and I asked my mom. I said, Mom, can I be a hippie? And she said, no, Dennis. Sit down and eat your dinner. And so that was the end of my career, at least now. SWL 226. I heard on the sideband net Jeffrey checking in, so I will get him checked in. He sounds great. I can hear him on sideband. I just can't get him on AM. If you're listening, Jeff, I got you checked in. And is there anybody else I missed or some comments that we need to make before I switch over to the tube radio items of interest?
Hey, Janet. 650, checking in from the Treetop GSM.
Hey, even 650 is beaconing down into the flatlands tonight in fine style. I hope all is going well over.
Yeah, billboard is. I've been working the fires, running water truck up there, trying to keep our community safe. So everything's going good, and they're catching up on the casino.
All right, yeah, it's going to take a while. At least they're letting people back up to assess the damage. A lot of the evacuation orders have been lifted, so you can go back and figure out how to get the horrible smoke smell out of the refrigerator and things of that nature. Thanks for checking in. And we'll hope we're done. We'll hope we're done with that craziness. All right. Speaking of a different form of craziness, give me a moment. I'm going to reset for the tube radios, of which there will be a few tonight, I know for sure, and your check-ins as well. Hello to the station from Ohio. And is it Chillicothe? I am really bad about pronouncing these names, but it's just so cool when they check in. Let me see. We'll go to the map and find out where you guys are at. Columbus. Take a short jaunt down the 23 from Columbus, and you'll get into Chillicothe, and the 45601 zip code. I was hoping they'd have a temperature for you guys, but they don't. All right, we're back in a moment here on the Old Tube Radio Network. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
I love the sound of that, the Old Tube Radio Network. Hey, now that I've got the REA mod meters up, I can kind of check to see if my audio is okay. I guess it's okay. It's sort of like looking in the mirror when you get this thing. See if I can make the 125. I got the positives at 125, the negatives at 98. In theory, the negative light shouldn't go on hardly at all, if ever. And if I'm doing things right here, the positive light at 125 should flash a few times here and there, up and down, but it looks like we're okay. Nobody's complaining that I'm undermodulated, so we will leave it alone. Let me find out what camera I want. How about, I don't know why it's doing that. How about that one? Oh, I know. There's a setting that's probably turned off, and it probably isn't going to get turned on because I won't be able to find it in time. So without further ado, I have signed in to the Tube Radio list for September 26th, 2020, and I will say that thing that I always say, the Old Tube Radio Network, listening for check-ins.
135 mobile, 135 mobile.
45.
25.
All right, 3 heard. We've got SWL 25. Hello, Jerry. Step into the green room. Take the elevator if you wish. The bar is open. There's all sorts of good things, but don't get too involved because we'll be using you for Radio 3 tonight. Hello, Paul. You will be Radio 2, so we'll be with you in a moment. And coming up right now, something that happens occasionally here on the Old Tube Radio Network, and that is, what do they say? Mobile radio check-in from SWL 135 at 8:57. Hello, Cliff. Over.
Hi there, Dennis. SWL 135 here. Is it possible to be stationary mobile?
Stationary mobile is a good thing as long as you are, 12 volts hooked up. I don't know where the radio is, if it's riding in the passenger seat with you, or if you've got it hooked into the metal dashboard, or you're idling, chugging down Blackstone Avenue, doing a little cruising. But if you're in the four-wheel vehicle, I think we'll definitely call that a mobile.
Okay, then mobile it is. Yeah, it's occupying most of the passenger seat. And going into the Magnet Mount Wilson 1000 is the Tram TR70C. That's a Tango Radio 70 Charlie, mobile type radio. This one pretty much only hooks up in the mobile configuration, and unless I can find a power supply to plug it into, this is a totally mobile radio.
Totally mobile, and believe it or not, I pulled up the picture that we have out of the Rolodex, and it says Tram TR70C from the collection of Cliff SWL 135, and there it is. So let me put it on the big screen. I'll have you take another transmission because I'm going to keep the S meter up. So we'll have an S meter check-in. Oh, and also, I want to say hello to 103. Hello, Jeff Cheesy E103 is listening up in Friant to your Old Tube mobile radio. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay. Let's see, do we want to get to a description right now, or what?
No, you did good. I wanted to have superimposed on the picture your S meter with the other radio, and now I've got the big picture. Now I got the big picture of the Tram TR70C, which is their mobile radio. This looks like the biggest mobile radio that you could get. So I see what has to be on the passenger seat. Over.
I'm trying to think which one is bigger, this or the Travelier.
I think this one is a bit bigger than the Demco Travelier I've got. This is it's every bit as big as any desktop stationary home type radio you'd ever have. Unlike most of the trams, this one has a regular sized meter on it. It does not have the great big tram meter, but it's still it is really very large for a mobile radio. It's got all 23 channels transmit and a VFO for receive. It's got a nice spot switch, so you can find out, how well you're lined up with your transmit signal. But I got to tell you, the accuracy really lies in the meter. The meter peaks also when you're tuning your receive for being right on signal. It's got a limiter, which I think is kind of like an ABC or something like that. But I got to tell you, I leave it off because everybody sounds so much better without it. When I turn it on, it just makes you sound really nasally. So I generally don't have it on. And I got to tell you, it also has one of the nicest sounding squelch circuits you'll ever hear. It's really smooth, and it doesn't clip clap and make a lot of noise. It's a really smooth squelch circuit. Also, next to the meter, it's got a little crystal receive socket, so you can plug it's good for the big crystals. So I can have an extra receive channel, which I can switch between that and the VFO. But no extra sockets for transmit or anything like that.
And it sounds great. So we'll give you a couple of questions to answer here. First of all, I'm surprised that the tram would trust, and I think this radio is probably 1963 or so, that they would trust someone to tune and spot while going down the highway. That this is, I think this is the equivalent of 1960s texting and driving. But of course you didn't do that. You're stationary mobile, and in theory you would set all this up before you went down the road. I guess they made the S meter smaller, even though it's still kind of large, considering this is their mobile radio, right? So they had to scrimp a little bit on something. Some questions from our SWLs who are listening to you at oldtuberadio.net on the YouTube channel and here locally. One, a lot of good reports of great audio through the stream. The radio is showing what I'll say is an ivory-colored hand microphonium at the top of the picture. I wonder if that's the one you're using. And in your estimation, how far would you say we are apart? I'm going to say we are 3 miles, perhaps. Maybe it's closer than that, because someone said you sound like you're in my driveway. So you're getting some great reports on this mobile radio. Over.
Oh, that's good to hear. I haven't turned this one on in quite a while. I was actually very glad this afternoon when I was checking it out. You heard me out there with Harvey, and when it was all working, I was like, yay! I don't think I've turned this on in at least 2 years. And yeah, it can't be any more than 3. I don't know if it's 3 whole miles. And like I say, I'm just going into the Wilson 1000 up on top of the car. The microphone, oh yes. And it's the one pictured is the one I'm using, and that is a Turner 355 Charlie, the Turner 355C, and that is the original microphone that went with this radio, and then the original mic that actually came with this particular radio. Did I forget anything?
No, I think we did well. Just great old tube standard audio. It's got a nice sort of punchy sound to it. Doesn't have a lot of bass, but if you listen to the replay, you will see what I mean. And you are, did I check, let's see, when you went in last time, you know what I was going to do, and I didn't do it when we were testing. I want to check your frequency. So next go around, we'll find out how the crystals are running on that thing.
Hey, Cliffy. Operate that radio.
Sure enough, but Dennis does have a good point. It is much better, I think, to have crystal-controlled transmit and receive in a mobile radio. I couldn't imagine driving down the road and somebody saying, hey, let's go over to channel 17 or something like that. And it's like, not unless I pull over. I would not be messing with the receive while actually driving.
But I suppose you could if you mounted it in the right spot. Cars back then still had 6-volt systems. I'm sure that's set up for 12 volts, obviously. And I don't see a mounting bracket. I'm sure it came with one, but I think you're doing it the right way for this demonstration. I want to take a little extra time with this because we don't get too many mobile radio check-ins, but just let people know that these radios basically, that's what they were for. You got your call and you had unit 1 to mobile 5. That's, in theory, how Class D 11-meter citizen band radio was supposed to work. So having a radio mobile was not an unusual thing, although at least for tube radios, it certainly is today, and we appreciate our operators when they take the extra time to hook something up. We want to applaud them, and applaud them we do. Back to you for another transmission. We'll get to our other stations coming up, but enjoying the mobile radio, and I would say this qualifies as a green item of interest, which always seems to rate well. We'll find out I know we were talking earlier, we'll find out the tube complement. Maybe if Mr. Ed has the TR70 or 27E, I think it's a similar amount. There may be one less tube, but this TR70C. So if we can find out the tube complement for that. Thanks for bringing it by, and back to you. Give us another transmission. Oh, the other thing is your modulation light working? Is it looking cool in the car when you talk?
Oh, God, I forgot all about the modulation light. Yeah, it's very lively, which I hope means I have good audio, or else it's just a very sensitive light. In the far lower right of the radio, below the spot switch, it's got a modulation light, which incidentally also blinks with your modulation, and anybody else I'm listening to. If I turn the volume way down, it doesn't do that so much, but if I have the volume, like right now I've got the volume, up pretty good. You modulate the modulation light as well.
Does it to mine too?
Interesting. And you mentioned about the noise limiter, the noise blanker. That sometimes happens. I wonder if there's an internal adjustment for that where you could vary the amount of limiting or blanking to be about half of what it is. And I bet it would make it sound better and still maybe take out some noise if you needed it. If you needed it to do that. Radio number 1 is the Tram TR70C, the mobile version of the big Tram series back in 1963, 62, 64. And indeed, this one is mobile. Thanks for the extra effort tonight, Cliff. It sounds great.
No, I hadn't done a mobile in a while, so I thought I'd try another mobile. And I looked around, and this poor thing's just been sitting there. Oh, speaking of, you mentioned the mobile bracket. I do have the mobile bracket. I guess it doesn't show up in the picture. I'm not looking at the picture, of course. But it is sitting on the mobile, the actual original mobile bracket.
Yeah, I went to the close-up here, and it is hard to tell. Oh, you said it's sitting. Let me go down to the... Yeah, it is hard to tell because you've got a nice, really tight close-up at the front. So I think it's hiding the mobile bracket over.
Yeah, okay. And also on the right side, right next to the mobile bracket, is a nice little door. You take the screw off the door, and all the crystals are right there.
Well, that is a handy thing. Those engineers at Tram were always thinking, in fact, they would give you in their advertisements a tech tip on how to go inside and tweak your radio, which seems dangerous, but is a nice thing if you can do that.
Yeah, I guess that way maybe you didn't actually have to, dislodge the radio from its mounted position if you wanted to mess with the crystals. The plastic dash in this car is not conducive to the mounting of radios like this, that's for sure. I think it worked pretty well in the old Buick.
It would work well in the Buick. It would work well in the old station wagon. It works well for how you're doing it tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. One of our listeners saying the microphone looks like the mics that Heathkit used. Well, maybe they used that style. It's a perfect match for that radio, methinks. Thanks for bringing it by. Everybody is enjoying it, including me.
Well, thanks for letting me check it in, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.
37.
All right, 37. We will add you to the mix. You will be radio number 4, so stand by. All right, radio number 1 tonight at 8:57. The Tram TR27C in its mobile configuration from a mobile antenna beaconing into net control here, sounding really good. We passed the top of the hour. We're going to go to the Jingle Singers, and then radio number 2 will be Paul. So jump up into the air chair, Paul, and we will be right with you in just a moment here on your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, I hope, the Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark, something that we have been doing here for the last 35 years on this channel, Channel 11, on Saturday evenings, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time here in the Central Valley of California. Glad you can join us, whether you're listening in the RF zone on Channel 11 or perhaps on your Universal Media Netweb on oldtuberadio.net or on the newly assigned YouTube 21st century thingy. Coming up next, radio number 2 and SWL 45. That's Paul. Just a reminder that you don't have to have any special numbers. We're not a club to bring your radio on, say, break OTR, and if it's the first time you've ever checked in, that's a great thing. So just want to remind people that we are here to talk about the old radios, and if you find yourself in possession of one, this is the place to bring it by, and we'll see what we can tell you about it, or maybe you'll be able to tell us something. A lot of times the Old Tube Radio collectors have a lot more information than we've got here in our archives. Hello, Paul.
Okay, I'll give it to you this way. This is the way you have it on your web. Marina Communications, Buddy TX-11B and RC-11B. Back to you.
I will see if I can find it. And you fooled me with that key down, and I'm sure you can hear it. I'm sure you can hear it yourself because you're running a separate transmitter and receiver. It gets a little bit of the like the eagle ping going on. So I'm going to find a picture of that radio. It's in a strange position where it always has trouble showing up properly. But I will get a picture of it here in just a moment. We'll patch it in.
Okay. The serial number on this radio is 333. And Buddy Base, and they only made about 800 of these things. So I feel fortunate to have one. Anyway, Harvey calls this thing the Baby Buddy. This has never been converted to 10 meters. And trying to see if that's it. That's close. That may be it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, you got it. And this is a 3-piece radio with a large lighted on the inner speaker on the top, as you can see up there. The total tubes of this thing are 18, so it's got a lot of tubes in it. I'll let you continue on with it, Dennis.
Okay, I might not have too much info. I might have to refer to Harvey, who knows a little bit more than I do. I want to say hello to Joey L., who is listening in from Kentucky. He's trying to hear us on Channel 11, but I think the conditions just aren't quite good enough So I'm glad we've got the streaming services up and running. Separate transmitter, separate receiver. The receiver, of course, is the larger unit if you're looking at the picture somewhere. And as you know, Paul, occasionally when you key that, you'll get a little bit of a chirp out of it. It sounds pretty cool.
Okay. Anyway, this thing has both BFO and 6-channel crystal control receive on the thing. The transmitter has 24 crystal control channels on it, completed. The radio's all hand-wired, really a neat old radio. I'm using a Turner plus 3 amplified ceramic microphone, I think. This radio was manufactured in Pasadena. Back to you, Dennis.
And you said that was from Marina Communications?
That is correct, Marina Communications.
Okay, when Harvey comes in, we'll talk more about the Buddy, because there was an Autronics, I believe, and Marina Communications. I think Kevin had one from Autronics. So unlike Browning, Buddy gave you a third piece, and they put the on-the-air sort of as a speaker cabinet, which I think is pretty cool. My guess is with that configuration that it might be about the same size as a Mark III, because you've got the smaller transmitter. But a lot of people like the Buddy bass. The transmitter was quite modifiable for what I'll call business band output, and you could really beef up the audio by getting a 6L6 if you could stuff it into the cabinet. And there were a lot of big sounding stations on the Buddy. I like the way you've got yours tuned up. The microphone actually works quite well with it.
Yeah, the Brownings were a lot fancier looking. This one is really a classic tube radio if you want to look at the thing. It's got the string tuner on the thing, which they don't use that, wouldn't use that a number of years ago, which is very interesting. And the light on this thing was different, factory mounted. It's an external light on it. Most of the other Buddies have the internal lights on. So it's kind of a different radio. Happy to check it in. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. And you answered my question before I asked it. Let me go to the close-up, if I have it here. What Paul is talking about, if you look next to the S meter, at least on the transmitter, you'll see the silver globe there. There's actually a housing for a light, a bulb that shines on the outside of the meter. A little harsh, but it looks like it works well, and maybe it's easier to change it when the bulb goes out. But a different way to do it. I hope those things don't run too hot. Seems like you could possibly burn yourself on that thing. Radio number 2 is the Buddy bass, the TX11B, RC11B. I don't know. I'll look at the Buddy thing. They didn't make a lot of radios, and it seems like the ones they made were that or the 6-channel version. There's still a lot around, believe it or not. It seems like they didn't sell that many, but I think people kept them. One, they were built well, and two, again, they were modifiable. A lot of people love the transmitters on that. Thanks for bringing it by.
Comment?
Yes, go ahead, comment.
Just looking at the spectrum scope, I'm usually looking at people that are 6 kilohertz wide. I'm listening at 10 kilohertz wide, and that radio is putting a signal out at 8 kilohertz wide, and it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, so if you beef up the audio, and people do that, they run the 6L6, that would be a good, if somebody's looking for a hi-fi tube radio, you've already got the extra bandwidth. So if you could feed that properly, I'm sure you could get some nice injected full featured audio for stations like myself and Ed who are listening, I'll say in a more hi-fi mode, or someone listening on an old SWL receiver that doesn't have filtering that much, and maybe crystal filtering, you would sound good. It sounds good the way it is, so thanks for that. Interesting to note.
Yeah, the receive on this is pretty doggone good, too. I don't live next to a bunch of houses, so I have no follow on that, but it's really got a good cleared receive, and it's got an RF gain, which I love. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks for that. The Buddy bass, our TX11B, RC11B, when Harvey comes back, we'll pick his brain a little bit on that radio to find out more for those who are interested. All right. Thanks for being patient, everybody. We are taking time with the radios as we like to do because they are interesting and they sound great. And by golly, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. That's what we're supposed to do. Jumping into the air chair now. If you're still there, if you didn't get a call to go out and do something important, you know, you had to go to the phone booth and change into your Superman outfit. And if you're flying around Southern California by now, I will understand. Hello, Jerry. Over.
Yeah, Dennis, I'm still here, barely hanging on. But anyway, just real quickly, checking in on my general radio telephone from downtown beautiful Burbank, California, MC5. Back to you.
All right, well, I think this would be a good juxtaposition for our next radio coming up with Radio 4. Let me put up the picture, and this is from Paul's collection, so he knows about the MC5s. In fact, he knows about just about every single general radio telephone thing that could possibly come out of Burbank, California. You are Radio 3 at 919. Take a transmission. Over.
Yeah, okay, Dennis, just real quickly, I mean, it won't take up 30 minutes to check it in, but anyway, yeah, a little, you get the picture up, you get the rack mount handles on it, real small, and talking on actually Turner Plus 3B powered mic, but hopefully it sounds okay. Kind of struggle with this radio here to get it back up. By the way, it does have the external secret crystal that you can put in just below the tone signal alert. That you can go, I guess, for anybody, whoever else has that particular frequency, and have your secret channel. Anyway, cool little radio, and thanks to a lot of my friends, we got it back on the air. Back to you.
And sounding good, the perfect place to be on our Saturday evening on the air with the Old Tube Radio Network. It has been, shall I say, sort of two-bird doldrums the last couple of weeks on the Old Tube Radio Network. For our fans of the tone signal, which the MC5 has, it was the last of the MC series to have the tone signal. The FCC really didn't care for the manufacturers building in a tone signal into the radio. There are radios that had external add-on, call alerts or tone call alerts. Sonar had one. I think E.F. Johnson had one. But at some point along the way, the FCC decided that we don't want you building it into the radio, and they didn't like the way they did it. But we like the way they did it. So we'll go back to you for a demonstration of the tone signal, a.k.a. Q-Bird, on your general radio telephone MC5.
Okay, Dennis. And by the way, Paul, that radio sounded outrageous. Very good. Anyway, here we go. I'm gonna keep talking, and now I'm gonna get off the key.
Perfectly modulated. It's got a good sweep, and it's like a snowflake, right? Each MC5 sort of has a different sound on the tone signal depending on how old the circuit is and what you've got in that circuit. But yours is perfect. I think yours is the one that's in the margins on the textbook when it says Q-Bird. Thanks for bringing it by.
All right, thank you, Dennis. We'll be satisfied.
Still got my camera issue. All right. 3 radios. Radio 4 is jumping up into the chair, SWL 37. I'm marking you in, Chris, and perfect timing. Time for you to take a transmission on what I believe will be another Burbank radio.
Burbank, indeed. This is the general radio telephone, Super MC11A, and as you know, it is the 24-channel version of this in here. And I am on channel 11, and I am running this here with the handheld stock microphone. No whistles or bells or anything to go behind it. Just, well, what you hear is what I'm putting in it, and that my linear lips, our lungs, or whatever, is doing it.
It's doing it, and I think the little exercise it got from doing the SWL check-in, it hasn't missed a beat as you bring it in to the room here. Channel 11 is displayed on the green dial. There is a knob underneath. Oh, that is your Delta tune or a fine tune, I suppose. You have an A&L. You have the bullhorn. That is what replaced, the bullhorn switch there is what replaced the tone call. The FCC hadn't have balked, probably would have had a Q-Bird on yours as well. You have a range switch, local and distance. So I'm assuming you can get me on either one of those. And then you have in-out NF tone or HF tone.
Yeah, you know, on that range thing, I think that's only on receive. I've flipped it back and forth while I've been listening. I've never flipped it while I was talking. Let me see. You can tell me I'm on distance right now. Let's see. I'm going to kick it down here to local. Oh, you know, it did drop some local there. It dropped me down some. I'm not putting out as much. Can you? I did not know that, Dennis. But it does have a lot of forward swing.
Yeah, I didn't see any difference. We heard a difference, but that's because your microphone came back to the way it was supposed to be. So try that again. I don't think it should make a difference on transmit. That really should be for your receiver. Let me go to the setting on the video that has the S meter, and so go ahead and try that again. But I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay. Well, that's the distance ones right there. Let's see. Yeah, that's the distance there. And I'm going to drop it down to the bottom. All right, that's on the bottom part. It shows that I'm doing a less of a dead key, but it does show a lot of swing over.
Well, it has a lot of true power in the audio, so that would be your forward movement on the modulation. And I hear and see no difference, so it could be you're changing some type of something internally when you flip the switch that changes the meter, but I'm pretty sure if you had a watt meter, you might not see much change, if any at all. So make it suit your receive the best you want, and that's probably where it's doing.
Actually, I don't think it did change anything up on the watt meter. I was looking up there when I did that there before I let off. I noticed it, but yeah, it says the same up there. But I know on the radio itself it shows a lower dead key, but it still shows the full swing of everything. So, but anyway, it's mine. It's a stalker.
It's a stalker, and for those wondering, yes, indeed. Let me go to he is using that microphone. It's the general. It's called a CM3, sort of a teardrop shaped. I don't think yours has the little gold badge in the center. The one we're showing, you can see that it says a general CM3, but that is the non-amplified microphonium. Back to you.
Yeah, that little emblem, it's gone out of this one here. It never was ended ever since I've had it, but I see the spot where it was. Actually, you can see where the glue was on it at one time.
Sounds good. Your old tube radio, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. And let's see, that is a 9-tube. All that in 9 tubes. The modulator output ECLL800 is what General beefed up their sets. I think starting, I want to say with the Super MC9 and the Super MC8 also sounding good, and you can't go wrong with a 12AX7A and the mic preamp. Thanks for bringing it by.
Okay, well, I need to turn it on enough where I can smell the heat coming off this puppy. It's been on ever since, 8 o'clock, so it's been on here an hour, well, actually a little bit before 8. A little bit before it's been on, so it's been on for a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, something like that, so I'm turning this off and jumping back to my other radio, Dennis. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. And the Old Tube Radio Network is, where are we going? We're going to go over to the Jingle Singers here at the bottom of the hour. And I think they are ready to go. Yeah, they seem like they are wanting to do the thing. So let's let them do that.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR. Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, the Old Tube Radio Network. We're standing by listening for radio number 5. And there is Paul. We might have someone tuning up as well. We will see at 9:30. Hello, Paul, over.
Yeah, I've got a little different kind than I had there, but you're familiar with these. It's my Regency range gain.
I was about to say I hear a Regency of some sort. The Regency range gain, the range gain 2, the Imperial 2, all basically using the same transmitter. The Imperial added the product detector and sideband, and you've got that cranked to that Regency sound that I'm used to hearing, because you've got the double sidebands going overtime. Give us another transmission, and I'll see if I can find the proper picture here. Over.
Yeah, okay. Say I got a note on the back of the microphone that go back 4 inches, so I hope that's about right. I can't really judge it as I got this way to check it. But anyway, this is a 12-tuner, 23-channel, AM double sideband with reduced carrier. I'll let you finish on with it. Thank you.
AM DSB, I've got a shot of the range gain, and yours is just the straight range gain, is not a range gain 2, over?
Yeah, it's a little different as far as, the coloring is a little different on the thing. It's close, though, but that's not it.
Yeah, let me see what else I've got, but that's, let me try range gain 2. The range gain 2 looks a lot like the Imperial. In fact, I think we might have no. That's how about that one?
Yeah, that's it. With it blue on the bottom. That's exactly what it is. Back to you.
Okay, and that is very similar to the Regency Imperial. Notice it doesn't have the crown on it, and is missing the switches that would have your upper and lower sideband. So that is indeed a Regency Imperial without the sideband. Let me get a closer shot. That also does have the final control, so you can turn that thing down to about 100 milliwatts if you want.
Yeah, you charge up to about 30 watt PEP too. It's not. It's quite a radio, I'll tell you that. And all that is controlled from the front too. You don't have to go in the back of the thing and open up cabinets and everything. Very well thought out. And like I said, the Imperial is just a little faster, but I think, if I ask you a question, I think they're exactly the same in the inside. Back to you.
They are exactly the same on the inside. I believe the Imperial has 2 more tubes. I think it's a 13-tube radio. This is an 11-tube radio. The original price, these came out in 1965, so these predated the Imperial, of course, which came out as double sideband. So it was easy for them to just drop the carrier. In fact, I used to talk to a guy when I had my Imperial, and this would have been back in the early 1970s, and he took a Regency range gain. Actually, I think what he had was the Olson sidebander, which was the same thing, and he put sideband in it. He was able to drop the carrier and just run, basically you just take the carrier out and it runs double sideband. That's how they did it. But you still needed to have a product detector for the receiver. So it's probably fairly easy to turn that into a double sideband transmitter just by dropping the carrier, but you still need a receiver. When you come back, I will check your frequency. A lot of people, when you drive the Regencies hard, they will say you sound off frequency. And what it is that they're hearing oft times is the double sidebands coming through with the AM carrier. So take a transmission. We'll find out where you're at.
Okay, I want to see. I'm going to call right aptitude right there, see what it sounds like. That makes a difference on the thing. Back to you.
Yeah, not too far off, about 300 cycles low. You sound great on sideband. You don't hear, it gets rid of a little bit of the harshness of the double sideband, but that's why it's so loud. It just and I don't know if Ed is out there. I'm assuming this will show up as a 6KC wide. It might show up a little bit wider when you're really screaming into the thing.
Yeah, it's not that, exactly. I think it's a little bit longer. It's really got a real good air screen over the back of the thing. Expanded middle, very good cooling on the thing. It's all very, very deep radio. They spent a lot of time on the thing and made it pretty radio. That is, I'm impressed. Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for bringing it by. If you've got a Sam's photo fax, that'll be in the book 13, page 135. One of my favorite radios. I do have the Imperial sideband, and that's what I used to run for a long time. In fact, that's the radio that got me started on OTR, because that was my one and only for a long time tube radio, the Imperial, which is the same thing. Regency. Range gain 2. Thanks for bringing it by.
Yeah. Okay, I think I have the switches flipped in the correct direction. Number 7.
I hear you and you sound great. Go ahead, over.
Okay. Yeah, that last one was 6 kilohertz wide. I was checking it out on the scope. I haven't really looked at the radios that well in the spectrum scope before, and it's been enlightening. The general radio telephones tend to be about 8 kilohertz wide. This one is only at 6, but the Tram TR27E.
Sounds good. I bet that Regency was filling up every bit of that 6 kilohertz signal. All right, from the mobile version, the TR70C, to the big base station, the TR27E, got that similar color going on. Back to you for transmission. You got all the cables correct. It sounds good.
Oh, there you go. Well, many would say it would be green. There may be a particular person on the chat in there that may really think that's green. It is actually teal, which is close enough to being green. But yeah, you don't go into the strawberry patch, as you can see. It goes into the green. So, green, a watermelon patch?
I don't know. You're in the Kermit zone. What is the indentation on the center? Uh-oh, Chrissy, I missed your question. Was that for the last radio? Was that for the range gain 2? Oh, it probably was. Yeah, I think it was. For the indentation in the center was the speaker. And it might have been just a dent in the grill. But in the Imperial, that's where they put the crown. So there might have been some logo for the range gain there that wasn't on that particular radio. I think that's what you're referring to. But in the center of this, it says 23 Tram. What is under the 23? CA? Two-way radio. So that's indeed a two-way radio.
Yeah, actually, it's the Tram 23 CB two-way radio, and then it has the little TE symbol underneath with the TR-27E, and then, of course, you have the XMIT channel, receive tune up for the VFO, the huge SWR meter, spot switch, external receive, and volume limiter, noise limiter, squelch, and the noise limiter on this thing and the squelch are phenomenal.
Probably adjusted correctly. I think Cliff was noting that his TR70C was adjusted such that it tweaked the incoming audio a little bit, so probably was over sniffing the A&L, the noise, and that's a typical thing. Sounds like yours is done correctly. 1963, when that radio came out, I used to have, I don't know where it went, I used to have an ad. Oh, wait, there it is. Let me go to the full-page ad if I can. Change over to that. Okay, and people be able to look at that on the big page. Doing good. Where are they from? Winnisquam, New Hampshire, I believe.
Yes, Winnisquam, New Hampshire. In fact, I'm going to have to get a hold of Harvey, and I have a TR-70C that needs just a little bit of work so I can have the mobile that matches this radio. Well, actually, I have it. I just have to have a microphone and have him do just a little bit of work to it. So we'll have both base and mobile radio, hopefully within not too long.
Sounds like a good thing. As you know, you're getting set up in the new QTH, so it may be a little bit before he gets, the bench and everything set up, but I think he's going to like being able to have a Radio Shack and a workbench, like I said, inside where it's either heated or cooled when necessary. The Tram 23 base station, renowned for its superior performance and dependability under the most exacting conditions, is now offered in an improved model, the TR-27E. That's the one we're talking about. In addition to the many features that are standard on all tram units, you will find the S-meter is now D'Arsenal moving coil type with an illuminated panoramic scale accurately calibrated to 60 dB over S9. And there was some quandary as to what that means. What is S9? Is it the Collins, which was so many dBm for S9, or is it something else? So you get meters that are a little more generous. There was some calibration. I think the Collins calibration is on the stingy side. The cabinet now has an extra durable wrinkle finish. The 23-channel selector switch carries the channel number illuminated in the panel. The receiver overload characteristic is improved by 20 dB. Adjacent channel rejection is improved by approximately 5 dB. And in many other respects, the overall excellence of tram equipment has been given extraordinary consideration and effort. Boy, aren't you glad you got that radio?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, the wrinkle finish on the outside of the cabinet is somewhat like the operator now. We won't go there. Anyway, yes, and Chrissy, no problem. I'm glad to bring by a green radio for you.
And I should apologize because when I show the ad, which I'm doing, it's in monochrome. So before we go, let me switch over to the radio, which has a little bit more of the proper color in it. Radio number 6, the Tram TR-27E. Thanks for bringing it by.
Oh, I almost forgot. 13-tube performance in a 12-tube radio.
You know they would put as many as possible. All right, the Jingle Singers are ready to go, and we're ready to listen to them here on your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Weird camera things. Looks like everything is running. They're holding up. Well, you guys have the CD. All right, they're holding up the CD. It is 15 minutes left. And like last week, I noticed we are a bit deficient in the radio department when it comes to the Eagles. The Jingle Singers are holding up a CD. Okay, I guess they got the CD copy of Espresso Trucking Companies. Maybe we can generate, because that's one of their functions. The Jingle Singers like to generate excitement with their jingles to get radios checked in. They're thinking maybe we can do this. So let's go to the Espresso Trucking Company with the Golden Eagle song. Maybe that will introduce some excitement to get an eagle on the air. You just never know. We'll see what happens here.
Hello,
are those guys and gals in the Espresso Trucking Company? Probably playing somewhere in Boise, Idaho, with their fabulous stuff, the Golden Eagle song, exclusively heard first here on the Old Tube Radio Network. So, okay, I will say the Jingle Singers did a good job, and we'll see what happens. OTR standing by. Hey, Paul, can you hear me? Over.
Yes, there's a lot of static, but I got you just fine. I want to check in my Regency Imperial.
Hey, you moved up to the almost $300 radio from Regency that came out about a year and a half later. And you are driving this one just a little bit more modestly than the range gain too. Let me pop up the Regency Imperial. And of course, it's giving me the... It doesn't want to give me the right picture. But anyway, take a transmission and we'll... this is a pretty radio. It's got the Imperial crown and another knob.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this one right here, this thing's got 13 tubes in it. So it may be interesting to you. I'll explain to you what it is. It's a product detector. 12B6. I don't have any idea what that was for. But this is the only one, I think, that had the 13 tubes. There was a later model, I think they get away with it. Anyway, interesting things about these old radios. Back to you.
Yeah, your product detector is what helps to receive, to demodulate or modulate the sideband when you take the carrier out, which is what that will do. So when you hit the transmit for sideband, whether your switch, let me get this, the close-up of the switch, whether that switch is in the LSB or USB position, you will be getting rid of the AM carrier and doing double sideband. And then the LSB, USB is your, I guess, dialing up the product detector for listening to lower sideband or upper sideband on the receive side. So obviously, if you were listening to double sideband, you'd still be listening to AM, as it were. A beautiful radio. And this is a good shot here. It also has an extra knob, the RVFO, which is your receive VFO for tuning in. It didn't change the transmit on the Imperials. I think you could put one of the VFOs of the time, like a PAL, or there was another VFO that was real popular that you'd have to stick in there to slide around a little bit. Back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got that part. Detectors. Got me going pretty good. And this is really a good radio, I'll tell you what. It's like the same one, has an open case on the back, expanded metal, very wide open. It breathes real well. It's just good, actually a good radio. And it's got some controls on the side which you can adjust on this one too. AM, of course, AM, LSB, and USB, the same as the Regency. This one right here has got big knobs on the front. The Regency didn't have that. And this makes it look richer, I think. Back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, I always wondered about the range gain. I always had those smaller knobs. It seemed like they aren't even the right knobs for it because I was so used to looking at the Imperial. And as you're looking at the radio, I think on the right side, as you said, there are 3 controls. One of them was the audio control. One of them was a carrier and something else. I used to know this radio really well, and mine had a little hole in the top of the cabinet where the product detector was on the left side, and I would adjust my receive VFO. There was a way to adjust it so when someone was on center channel and they went to lower sideband, you would rock the VFO, I think, to 10 o'clock, and then you would use that, adjust your product detector to make them center frequency when your RVFO was at 10 o'clock. When they were upper sideband, you'd put that knob, the dot on the RVFO knob to 2 o'clock position, and then you would adjust for them to sound on frequency that way, and then it would be calibrated. So there was a way to do that all without having to take the case off. Another feature that we're not seeing here, and if your lights are not burned out, when you hit the transmit button, I think you have another light that turns on in the S meter and it turns red. Is that correct?
Yeah, Yeah, you bet. Comes out of the right-hand top, white color ground. All the lights on this one work. This is really a clean radio, I'll tell you. Pretty light on the channel selection, you can read them very well. So it's a real nice radio. Back to you.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, are you able to, I don't know how accessible the radio is in your radio table, are you able to switch it over to, because you'll be transmitting double sideband, so basically you're just going to drop your carrier. Can you switch it over to either LSB or USB and take a transmission over?
Yeah, I'll go to USB. There's USB right there. Swinging pretty good. All right. I'll get back to the other one here.
You know, I actually think that sounds better. Are you back on AM?
That's correct.
Your double sideband, that's amazing. It sounds like the Regency. Do me a favor, go back to either USB or LSB and take a transmission.
Okay, I'm on the USB again. I'll go to the LSB. They're saying a little more swing on that one. I don't know why. It's probably just the meter. And, yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to hear it. I'll be able to hear it. Thanks to you and your archive.
All right, went up the S meter. That's interesting. It sounds a lot like the range gain that way because the range gain had a lot of audio. That's interesting. Your audio goes up. It's not as clear. It's a little bit fuzzy because, of course, we're listening to the sidebands. All right, I want to do something else. So, are you back on AM?
Yeah, I'm on AM.
All right, transmit on AM. I'm going to listen to your sidebands, so stay on AM. I'm just going to go to turn my receiver to sideband.
Yeah.
All right, now do me a favor. It shouldn't sound any different, but go ahead and take a transmission on either lower or upper sideband.
Oh, that's so different on the spectrum scope.
Okay, I'm back at upper sideband. I heard what might be still. Open this double with. I can something over. Go back to you.
Okay. Yeah, it is louder. So that radio needs a little bit of adjusting. You are definitely, even when I'm listening in sideband, your audio comes up louder when you switch to the sideband mode. So interesting. But I can still understand you quite well when you're transmitting double sideband when I'm listening on AM. When I'm listening on sideband, the AM, actually sidebands on the AM setting are a little weak. So I wish I knew a little bit more about that radio to say, oh, you know what? That's because of X, but I'm not sure. But it works either way. But right now, that radio is definitely set up to be a screamer on sideband. And you know what? If somebody is having trouble hearing you on AM, and I kid you not, go to one of your sidebands to make the transmission, and then, of course, you're going to have to switch back to hear them on AM. The Regency Imperial, back to you.
Yeah, when you transmit all that, it squeals for a bit, so you have to go back to AM. You're right. Interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know things to do this. Thanks, Jay.
Okay, it's been a long time. I used to know just about everything about that radio, and now I've forgotten just about everything. Well, I've forgotten a lot of things, including that radio. It is radio number 7. I think I logged it in at about 9:47. The Regency Imperial, and it says DSB AM. That's double sideband AM of a screamer for 1967.
I've got this one tuned down pretty low. I'm not going to raise it up, but it's doing what I want to do. Thanks again for checking it in.
Yeah, you can actually tweak them to have a lot of AM carrier, but they're really not made for that. They're really made, and that may be the issue. You may have the AM carrier maxed at 4 or 5 watts out, and then really they should be at about 1.5 to 2.5 watts, and then you let the suppressed carrier take over. So it would be interesting to find out. All right, I am just looking at my controls here. It just seems like things are not where they should be, but nobody's complaining. So we'll say thanks, Paul, and we're looking for radio number 8.
double sideband sounded wonderful on the SDR here. So yeah, it's really amazing what the difference was on that. The audio really came up on sideband.
Well, it sounded like a Regency typically sounds. And if you heard his earlier radio, the Range Gain 2, you heard how his and he was hitting it pretty hard, but that's the typical sound of the Regency. It has kind of that harsh edge to it, but it's really loud, and it's because the upper and lower sidebands are carrying a lot of the energy. On this one, it seems like the AM. I'm thinking the AM carrier might be a little bit over peaked on it, and it's not getting the suppressed carrier. But of course, when you kick out the AM carrier, that's all you're getting is suppressed carrier, and you can hear the power of the sidebands.
Yeah, and it was wonderful.
Well, how about one that's not quite so wonderful?
This is the not quite so wonderful frequency, but I bet you misspeak. I bet it's going to be more wonderful than you might think over.
Well, I'm rather curious as to what this is going to be doing on the band scope there on the at the other station. But from the radio lounge, boy, it's late, but not so late that I shouldn't check in a Robin T123.
I grab a picture. A perfect choice. If I get the right shot up there, there we go. The Robin T123 with the winking, blinking magic eye and some other items of interest. It sounds good, over.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's so nice outside. I almost took this out to the radio patio, but I got too lazy. But it's everyone sounds great on it. I gotta say I feel a little inadequate. The Buddy Bass that was just checked in a short time ago. Boy, that I don't have any radios with the speaker that's got the on the air lamp on it. I think I don't know. Maybe you can clarify. I think that Buddy Bass had that thing on there, but I know at one point in time that was on my radar screen, but never got around to getting one. But this Robin that I do have does have the Magic Eye Tube, which is great. Oh boy, what is it? 6RE13? I think it's a 6RE13. It's the vertically oriented Magic Eye Tube. You speak into it. A bar from the top illuminates downwards. A bar from the bottom illuminates upwards, and tells you that hopefully you're putting some sort of a signal out.
Well, it would certainly tell you that you're putting modulation out. I know when they're set up in a receiver, it tells you you're getting a signal, or it tells you the strength of the signal, and typically for that setup on the tube, it would be as the top and the bottom of the lights come together, then you're getting max, voltage into your receiver. I was seeing if I could get a decent picture of a 6RE13, and it's always hard because they're in a sort of this weird vertical image format, and they're hard for me to display, but I will try that. To take another transmission.
Okay, I'll take a transmission on this one that does not have a Magic Eye Tube, but hopefully it's serving its purpose on your end.
Yeah, all right. There, we'll pan up. For those watching the video, if you can see the whole tube, I think. Let's see, if you're at oldtuberadio.net, it's this huge display of the tube sitting vertical with the display. If you're on the video, I'm going to pan. I'm going to tilt down on the tube here. And you'll see, okay, it won't even fit. It doesn't even fit in the screen. It's so big. All right, well, let me go back. You get the idea, I think. And that was radio, you're going so fast here. That was radio number 8. at 9:58. So it looks like we might have radio 9. Over.
Yeah, I jumped over to my other oven, the T123B, and before anyone starts falling asleep, I would absolutely love, Ed, I don't know if you've been watching your band scope on your SDR, but I don't know if you have any comments as to the difference in the audio that the other one is putting out versus this one. Probably. I'm looking down at the modulation lamp, and it's reminding me that you have to raise your voice. And to be honest with you, on receive on this particular radio, OTR, I think you're making the modulation lamp illuminate more than I am, believe it or not. It just from my point, it just feels obscenely uncomfortable having to speak this loudly into the radio, but it does have the unamplified, what I believe to be the original microphone. So not my personal choice for favorites, but it looks good. And I guess these days that's all that counts, right?
It sounds good. Well, let's see. I'm assuming that you have the range expanded, the on mode.
Yeah, good question. I was just fiddling with this earlier. Sometimes knobs and switches don't like to be left on in one particular position for too long. So I was kind of messing with this. Yeah, the range expand is on right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to turn it off on 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the modulation lamp is doing nothing. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, the modulation lamp does not really too much of anything when I have the range expand turned off.
And you are correct. Methinks that radio in internal workings was set up to adjust the range expand for an amplified microphone that was turned up all the way. And so they said, well, we'll run the range expand, we'll turn it way down. Because when you turn the range expand off, if we were to see you along with the radio, when the range expand is on, Michael is all of 6'2". When he turns the range expand off, he is all of 2'6", if you get my drift.
No, I do, actually. And, I'm kind of curious because you've made that comment several times before. Have you ever dug inside of one of these 123Bs?
No, but I bet there's probably some adjustment on the range expand so that you could get a little more beef out of it to use the stock microphonium and have it be a little bit louder. Because indeed, even when you're up on the microphone, I don't think it's as loud as the 123.
Yeah, I kind of knew that. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I knew that. And unfortunately, that's just, I think, the nature of using this particular radio. I hate to get an amplified mic for it just because of originality, and I do like to use the what I believe to be the stock mic. I don't think these things were ever issued with amplified microphones. Maybe you can elaborate on that. But yeah, I got to. Well, I should dig in to this thing and try and figure that thing out. But I feel bad. My poor Gondit G11. It's had issues, I think, I'm not even going to say how long it's been since I've used it, but I got to dig in there and try and get that thing up and running again. But so we got two things. We got a Gondit that needs to figure out what the issue is, and a 123B that needs to be adjusted for the correct microphone. This actually is fun. This is the least of the problems in my life. I can handle this no problem. So, okay, on that rather optimistic note, I think I'll send it back to you. and thanks for letting me check it in. What a pleasure it is. And now, on that, I think I will be clear right now, 73. Stay out of the trouble and wash your hands.
Well, the good thing is don't discount the 123 audio, the 123B and the 123 audio. That has really good fidelity to it. And I think Robin did, you know what? Doggone it. I just looked down. JT is probably, I just looked down, and I'm wearing the green shirt tonight from 1970, who knows what. And I have, doggone it, I have the pocket protector. I'm finally wearing a shirt that's got a pocket in it. And I'm sure it's a nerdy shirt. And I needed there it is. All right. I'm in uniform now. There's the pocket protector. I totally forgot. And I have a pen. Mike, I'm using your time here for this. I have a pen that goes in it tonight. CBS Tubes. Ken L's Radio Supply, 428 Central Avenue, Fort Dodge, Iowa. There it is, the CBS Tubes and Fort Dodge, Iowa. So that's going to be put into the... Okay, I'm officially in uniform now to check in Radio 9, the Robin T123B. It's good. Don't discount that radio. It works fine. When you're up on the microphone or whatever you're doing, the audio sounds good fidelity. The other one is good as well. Sounds like the Gonset, though. The Gonset is not quite that good. So that's the one we'll work on. Over.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while, and I guess I've just been lazy. But we'll get it up and running. I guess it's almost October. I guess the tradition on 11 meters is to get all your winking and blinking vacuum tube, or magic eye tubes, rather, operating. So after a rather long time, I got to get my tail in gear on the Gonset. So, all right, I'd like this, again, you're giving me homework. This is nice.
It is. Now, the other homework would be to find the actual mic that Robin, that they made for that. And Mitch is right. Robin offered an amplified desk mic as an accessory. The hand mic was a marketing ploy to upsell the desk mic. Yeah, see, the hand mic is really tiny. That's what Joe was complaining about on his. It's just like this, it gets lost in your hand. So you need a little bit more, effort to make it sound good. But I think it's called an MT, the letter M, the letter T, the number 1, an MT1 was their desk mic. But as Mitch states, they're really hard to find. So you know what that means, don't you? When you find one on eBay.
Oh, okay. You know what? I think this has come up several times. You're triggering some old memories about this, the MT1. Okay, I'm actually, I know it sounds crazy, I'm extremely grateful that Mitch chimed in there. Hopefully this doesn't cost too much on eBay, but the MT1, that's nice. I hate to take up too much time. Do we know who manufactured that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a Turner or Shure or it's something they put together. Or typically, it's somebody, one of those manufacturers is making them for somebody else. But I don't know. I think Cliff has one, but he's no longer on. I think he has one on one of his radios. Let me see if I go up. I could be fooling myself like it's included. No, I don't know. I don't know who makes it.
Okay, that's fine. No, I'm going to remember it this time, the MT1. Ooh, I like this. Okay, for the second time, thank you, Mitch. And again, hopefully this isn't going to cost too much. I'm curious. This is nice. I've got some enthusiasm here. I don't like screaming into this unamplified mic. Okay, thanks. Back to you.
All right, I went back to the Robin T123 picture because it's from Cliff, and I think the microphone is actually in the picture. Let me go to the close-up. I really think, and I could be wrong here, and I'm showing it on the video. It's also up at ultrabradio.net, that desk mic that he has with his Robin T123 is the desk mic for that radio that came from Robin. And I want to say it's an MT something, like the letter M and the letter T. It sort of has a Turner look to it, but it's definitely different. It's not like the Plus 2. It is dark color and round, so it's pretty cool. I think that is it. I think that is the desk mic. And I do see a knob in the back. Yes, there's a rotund knob telling me that you probably need to put a battery into the thing. So there it is. It exists. Next time Cliff is out, we'll have to talk to him and maybe coerce him into jumping the MT1 on there. All right, thanks. You are radio number 9.
Break OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
I was having such a good time looking at the spectrum scope and just listening to radios, I almost forgot to check radios in. So the R68 T68 Golden Eagle by Browning.
I'm next, Dennis.
All right. Well, I think the song finally beaconed across town here, and as usual, here comes the Eagles right at the end of the program. Let me find the picture that are probably used for the next 2 check-in radios, and that's the what would be the Browning Mark Nunn R68 T68, over.
That is correct. The Golden Eagle Mark Nunn. This is the Series 2. There's a Series 1 that's not like this one. I forgot what it's like, but I know mine's a Series 2.
And there is a way to tell the Series 2, and I will give that here quickly. You tell the Series 2 by the transmitter has the lighted on the air light rather than the spotlight. The Series 1 had, some of the receivers have a variable RF gain, others have a 3-position switch for RF gain. And I think that would tell you what you got, which you already know, over.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, this one has the spot switch, and it has the non-variable type. It's the 3-position, and yeah, it's a little bit weird, but it works well.
Is it low, medium, high? Do they have it marked, or is it just 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, no, it's, let's see, in fact, here, let me get a little light on it real fast. Yeah, it's actually marked distance, normal, normal and local, which I'm not exactly sure how that works, but, yeah, if you have it on the distance, it definitely brings the fidelity, opens it up a little bit.
It sounds similar to what we were talking with Chris on his general radio telephone, where they have a distance and local, and I think the Pierce Simpsons did that too, so there may be just a little attenuation on the RF gain, which is what I do, but I do it to bring the noise down so it doesn't drive the SWLs nuts, but it's sort of like a distance local thing to keep the noise out, but it could be some other filtering. All right, the Golden Eagle by Browning, radio number 10, the R68 T68, that has, I want to say that's maybe longer than whatever the factory ping would be, but it sounds great, over.
Yeah, it's the way the radio does it, so there's no extra capacitors or anything like that in there. Yeah, it's just like the radio you have there in your picture on YouTube, except for I do not have the external speaker, but banana mic in hand.
Excellent. Okay, and Jimmy, you're still up. My gosh, he's staying up late tonight. He says also the face plates are 1.5 inch wider. Well, that's interesting. Why would they do that? There was also a wood cabinet that fit for that thing. So I wonder if they would have had to make the cabinet different, or the cabinets didn't come out until they came out with that, because that would be weird if you went about the cabinet and it's like, it just doesn't fit. Interesting. All right. Thanks for that information. All right, Radio 10, let's switch over to Harvey, who I believe, am I reading this right, Harvey, that you may be on a similar radio, over?
it's not my favorite because that's still at the old place. This is the R2700 receiver and the S9 transmitter. S9 transmitter has 6 channels, and the receiver all 23. The receiver was Browning's first 11-meter receiver, and the transmitter S9, the first transmitter they made. When you were talking about the General Super MC11A, and Chris wanted to know about the local distance switch, here's the thing about that. On the back of the radio is, I think, a 9-pin plug. I think it's 9. And you stick a little plug thingy in there that shorts 2 pins. And what that does is it shorts the resistor and increases the power output, commonly known as the plug or the button or whatever there. Now, some people run the 2 wires from inside up to the local distance switch, because the local distance rocker switch has 6 contacts, 3 on one side for the local distance and 3 empty ones on the other side. So you just run the 2 wires on that, and then when you when you put it in distance, you get more power. And what you normally do is tune the radio for a happy medium between low power and high power, so you get decent power output on the low end with swing, and similar on the high end, on the high power position. You don't max either out. Have the medium and then use the switch. Now, sometimes people, when they end up with one of those type radios with the button in the back and a local distance switch, may not know that the prior owner or somebody before that person wired that switch. I have, I think, 111A that's wired that way. Okay, back to you.
All right, thanks, Harvey. Good information. I'm going to say your audio sounds, audio definitely sounds better. Whatever you've done for the echo has greatly improved from where you were last week. So you've done it right. Maybe you've got you borrowed some of the curtains from the green room and have them wrapped in the radio. Also, Jimmy mentioned that no factory pings were installed, quote unquote, air quotes, by Browning once the defect was found in the R27S23. So probably had the standard boink, that you could get as much boinkingness out of you can. And then if you want a little bit more reverberation pingy, then you had to go in there and do something. So interesting. And yeah, the R27S23, then the R68, T68. Browning was really, between the getting to the Mark II, we're putting things out kind of fast. But I would think in that late 60s period, there was a lot of competition. The prices were still not too bad. There wasn't quite the overseas, invasion, if you will, from the import manufacturers. And so you could afford to retool and change things all the time. And then once things got later, then it got a little bit expensive to do that kind of stuff. Okay, Harvey, sounding good. I've got the R2700 and the S9 marked. I forgot that's the one you had there. That's probably a little bit easier to carry over anyway, right?
Yeah, but I still put it on a cart holder from the garage into the room here. This is the R2700 and S9. They went from this to the R2700A, very similar receiver, and the 23S9
which had 23 channels. But when they had this set up, before they went to the 23F9, people who wanted the receiver but didn't want such a grandiose transmitter with all 6 channels and a meter and an on-the-air light and a box switch and a spot switch, Browning came out with 3 other transmitters after this one. The Browning Compact, I think the Compact has 10 channels, or 9, trying to remember, 4 up one side of the switch, 4 up around on the other side with a crystal socket in the middle for you to plug in your own channel. No meter. I think it does have it on the air light. And very kind of plain. Besides that, they also came out with the T2700 and the T2700S. Now the Compact and one of the T2700s did not have its own power supply. You got the power to run it from the R2700 or the R2700A. The other T2700, which might be the S or just the plain T2700, that did have a power supply. So they experimented a lot around the time just after they came out with this transmitter. After that, they went whole hog into 23 channels all the time.
Okay, boy, I'm just not coming up with a lot of, my pictures are not coming up for these things that you're talking about. I wanted to put them on. And Jimmy mentions, and you know, the R2700 was originally paired with the T2700 transmitter, which is why the receiver has the TR switch on the front. And after the T2700 Browning, they introduced the S9 and the 23S9. And I'm showing that on the T2700, it was indeed 1959 to 1961. So, of course, 59 being the year for everybody who wanted to jump into the radio, the Class D jumping in. And I'm showing an original price of $65, but that's just for the transmitter. But I guess if you pair them together, it seems like a deal for Browning. But 1959, they wanted people to get in there and spend some money. Also, let me mention before we sign out here tonight, Mike, if you were listening, someone went out and checked. In fact, Mitch went out and checked and said that the MT2, Robin MT2 new NOS, was that new old stock, Mike, just sold 4 days ago for $168 on eBay. But it's hard to tell what it is on that mic. Could be like a Turner Plus 2. Looks like a Turner to me somehow, but it's hard to say. So, well, sir, Harvey, your radio room is working well, and it hasn't affected you one bit. You're still right there.
Okay, appreciate that. Oh, on the S9, to switch between channels A, B, C, D, E, F, they have little neon lights that go on. And I'm on channel B, which happens to be 11. Anyway, okay, well, I will let you go. You may need to proxy me in next week. I'm going to attempt to work. It'll be, let me see, the third day that I could work. So I'm going to see if I can handle it. So you may need to proxy me in if I do work, because I may be a little slower getting back. Anyway, appreciate you letting me talk so long there. Oh, one thing I did find out, about air conditioning in the house. The thermostat, which is in the hallway, when you turn on the air, it measures the temperature, determines when it's at the correct temperature out in the hallway. It doesn't let you know that the radio room is about 5 to 8 degrees hotter.
Yeah, I've got that same situation. So you either have to freeze out or heat up the rest of, well, you don't need to heat up anything, but you have to freeze out the rest of the house, or you have to install some extra fans. Of course, that means extra noise in the radio room, and so be it. So it will depend. It's probably more effort than it's worth to rewire the T-stat somewhere closer to the radios. But at least you're in the house. Over.
Roger. Yeah, I'm in the house. Oh, I didn't ping. I'm getting tired of it. It's too long. I didn't have time to rewire it. I had the darn bottom off, too. I realigned this thing during OTR. I forgot this does have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position fixed crystal receive. And this didn't have a crystal in there. I used my last crystal that I have, because for receive, you need a 4.770 megahertz crystal. The last one I had, I just threw in here. Anyway, when you tune this thing for receive, you have to tune it with the crystal in there to align it for, now, when you're tuning it, you also tune the crystal's frequency slightly. One of the inductors will change your frequency slightly, high and low, so an off-frequency crystal will slide in there. And I remembered that, thank goodness, and I did that. So I tuned everything to the crystal, then tweaked the manual receive, and then I found channel 11 on channel 8. So then I took the adjuster that only adjusts the manual tuning and adjusted that one. So I had the bottom off, and I didn't think to leave it off to get to the ping cap. Well, I'll get to it another day. Okay, Dennis, I appreciate the long queue, so thank you. We're out.
All right, thanks, Harvey. Good to hear you on. And write this down on your Post-it note on the desk there. ECOBEE. That is one of those 21st century smart thermostats that probably cost way more than you want to spend, but they're saying the ecobee smart thermostat with a remote sensor in the shack. So it sounds like possibly the voice of experience there. I may have to check that out. Although my system is pretty archaic here, so I don't need heat. That's for sure. It might be something for next year, because it's going to start getting cold. Thanks for checking in. Gosh, it is 10:30. Let me check. The Jingle Singers are ready to do a few things, but I want to check to see if there's any other radios that would like to get checked in here. I love the pocket protector. I just wanted to have extra time to have my pocket protector on. Any other stations? Over.
Number 7.
Number 7. You will be Radio 12. And who was the other station?
60.
And 60. You'll be Lucky Radio 13. We will be right with you, Joe. So don't go away. Let's head over to Mr. Ed. Hello, Radio.
Well, this time, the Browning Mark III SSB.
You're going for big. Green is okay, but sometimes you just have to go for big.
Well, there you go. Not only the Browning, but also the Astatic D104 Golden Eagle gold-plated microphone, limited edition, and numbered and stamped and everything.
And I have a perfect picture, not of the exact radio on which you're broadcasting, transmitting, but the likeness is pretty good. The Browning Eagle get this right, Dennis, the Mark III SSB transmitter receiver. Yes, they did make an AM version, which would be a little bit smaller than that, of course. And it does have the golden microphonium with it. Back to you.
Oh, there you go. That is not my radio, but one very similar to my radio. Yes, and that is the same type of microphone that I am speaking on right now. So there you go. There's a perfect representation of the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB with the Golden Eagle microphone.
And one can only imagine if the FCC hadn't changed to 40 channels, if they would have run that radio more than the 72, than the about 4 years that it did run, because there just wasn't a thing wrong with it. How do you improve on that? I have no idea. All right, it sounds good. We've got you marked in for Radio 12, and thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Oh, and thank you very much, Dennis, for letting me check these old radios in. With that, we'll go back to Bozo Control.
Okay, you know what? I forgot to ask Harvey. I was going to ask Harvey about the Marina Communications and the Buddy Base, but that will be for another time. Radio 13, perhaps at 10:33. The final radio for the evening. We will see. I'm going to check it in here and go over to Joe at the microphonium. Take a transmission. Over.
Thank you, Dennis, and I want you to know I really enjoyed the show tonight. The guys really do put the radios on you, and I don't know how you know what you know. This is a Johnson Messenger, the 223, not a fancy radio, with a squelch which turns on the volume, turns on the radio, and a volume. I wish it had a PA jack and an external jack for the headphones, but it doesn't. It's just a plain radio, very simple.
Simple but good. Just a great look to it. Gotta love the big speaker in the front, the S meter. And I don't know nothing. I just sit in the air chair here, and the net, whatever it is, sort of morphs around me despite my best efforts. Like a big wheel, like a big snowball. It just keeps going, and I have to kind of run behind it and make sure it doesn't crash into everything. Your radio's sounding great. You've got everything dialed in. Now, it isn't a Browning, of course. There's not 18 knobs that you have to look at. You don't have to spot and tune. You just have to turn it on, let it warm up. And if it's working, and it is.
Well, we appreciate that. Doggone it, Dennis, I look at the radio you've got advertised there, and the speaker is big. A well-lit radio, and I turn the dial on, and she's on, ready to go to work. Okay, I appreciate you letting me check this one in. I know it's late. I'd like to check in one more.
Hey, do that. That'll give us time to jump over into the green room, not in the green room, over into the studios for the Jingle Singers to do what they always do right about this time on your old 2 radio network. So I'll say take it away, and then we'll come back with the radio.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
And we are looking for radio number 14. And all of a sudden, my noise level is very, very quiet, and we did not get the E-skip that I was expecting here tonight.
No, nothing at all.
Hey, Dennis, what was the question on the buddy?
That is a good question. I'm looking at my notes. Marina Communications, Autronics. Was there two people making these?
Yeah. Marina Communications made them in Santa Maria, I believe. Autronics made them in Culver City and Pasadena.
Okay, because Paul says his was from Marina Communications, the one he checked in tonight.
That could be. I've got I think I have two from Marina Communications and a couple from Autronics. Generally, they'll say it on a tag on the back. The transmitter, the receiver, and or the speaker. If that's fallen off, you have to get lucky and look at the meter on either transmitter or receiver, and at the bottom it usually says either Marina Communications or Autronics in the city.
In the city, all right. Okay, there was probably yet another question, but if I did write it down, I didn't write it down in some place where I can find it. But that is what I thought. I know there was possibly two manufacturers of that. Not sure why. Burbank seemed to be a decent, beautiful downtown Burbank. It was good for Gary Owens, and it worked pretty well for a lot of the tube radios as well. All right, I am going to stand by because I think we have one more radio that wants to jump in here. Over.
Yeah, Dennis, doggone it, we had to switch a few coaxes on this end. I hope we're transmitting.
Well, you sound great. And I think this might be a radio that that our SWLs will enjoy as well. So go ahead and squeeze the microphone in.
Thank you much. This is the Robin T123B. And listening to you and Cliff as you were talking about those Robins, the 123 and whatever, pretty much answers all my questions, other than the fact that this one has a few more channels than probably those two. It goes as high as 35. But most of the questions, like I said, were answered. Dennis, doggone it, we don't have none in particular right now. I just hope that the audio goes with the radio.
Audio sounds great. The microphone, what microphone are you using? Because that was sort of our discussion when Mike was on the line. He's running the range expand. I think he is running the standard stock microphone, and he has to really get into the microphone, which he doesn't like to do. But it sounds good. So I'm just, yours sounds, it has a nice crisp sound to it. I just can't remember what you did for the microphone. If you're still running the stock mic, if you upgraded.
Well, I made a few changes because I was running the T123B, the original, the little bitty one. And then I tried an aesthetic stock mic. And then I changed over to this one, the Desk Lollipop, the aesthetic Lollipop. And doggone it, I seem to be getting some good needle reactions from the meter, other than the two mics. I did like the first one, the little bitty one, but it just needed a little bit more push.
Yeah, and I think you got it with this. The audio is good. It's nice. It's got some nice highs. It's not muddy at all. This is a good daily let's talk on the radio type microphone. So I think you're good there. And Harvey, if you're still around, I do have one more question for you before you go. But I think we're good with Radio 14, the T123B. I've been trying to keep the tube count going here, and with 14 radios, we're doing quite nice tonight. Like the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III, the Panasonic 23-channel chassis from 1972 to 1976 was a big player. Pretty much all of the radios that incorporated that chassis sounded good, and had they not had to switch to 40 channels, they probably would have been jumping around for a few more years. But because of the 40-channel thing, 76 was the last that you heard of these, but they're good. A green radio that is always a popular item here on the Old Tube Radio Network. back to you for a transmission, and thanks for bringing it by.
Thank you for letting me be able to check these radios in, Dennis. The old Messenger 223s, 10 tubes, and 11 tubes on the old Robin 123B. Thank you, and hey, appreciate the show tonight. Great.
I'm glad I could be here doing it, so thanks for that. Let me jump over, and I've got a lot of technical things to fix here tonight. Last week it was the audio. We got the audio fixed, and this week it's the video. Don't add pictures to radio. It just messes things up. And yes, the T240D was 40 channels. So obviously they were able to quickly modify that chassis. And I don't know if they were synthesized or if they were on a chip. Maybe they went to a chip. I think no, they were not, because on Joe's radio, he's got extra channels. What was the one he had extra channels on? And that was because they could flip some switches and rewire it was a synthesized deal, and they could do some more multiplication and get you a few extra channels above 23. Harvey, are you still in the radio room? Over. Okay, one more. Let's put on the buddy caps again, and the transmitters. In fact, let's see. Ed noticed that the transmitter was running about 8K wide. So obviously, if you want to do some audio stuff on the buddy base, that would be the way to do it. And some people did. Are you familiar, or have you ever beefed up the transmitter portion with a 6L6 in the audio?
I couldn't reach the control. Sorry. Yes. It normally comes with, I believe, a 6V6. People stick a 6L6 in there. I have a 5814, I think, audio tube in there. And if you actually want to keep the top off the radio, you can stick, what is that bad boy modulator tube? 8417, something like that?
Something like that, because I remember somebody saying you had to modify the top of the case, or like you said, run it with the case off. Obviously, you don't want to cut a hole in the case. Maybe if you're really into the audio, you don't care what the radio looks like as long as it sounds good. So, okay, it was sort of set up, and I'm thinking it was probably beefed up so it had output. I'll call it business band output if you did it right.
Well, even if you did it wrong, it came okay. Other than the Baby Buddy that Paul has, and this is the first one I've ever seen with that, and when I look at Buddy website type things, no one ever talks about it. Paul got a Baby Buddy, and I think it's 23 channels transmitter, where he's got a 6CL8 or something like that, CL6, whatever, or something like that, final with a 6AQ5 modulator. Can't believe it. But it puts out decent power in and around the 20 watt range. They basically came with a 2E26 final, a 6V6 modulator, and a 6AX5 regulator, something like that. And people put a diode pack in place of the 6AX5. And basically, if you look at the diode pack setup, you can put a couple of resistors in series with the diode, and the diodes automatically give you more power, but with the resistors, it cuts it down a bit. People put a slide switch in there or a toggle to short those out, and then you go max power. in place of the 2E26, you could put a 6146 style tube. 6146 A, B, W, whatever, WB tube in there, and max out the power with a 5814, let's say, modulator. Power supply handles it. You don't have to do anything else to it. Just plug it in and retune your tune load. However, when you do that, you generally max out the 6146s fairly soon if you talk as long as I am right now. So what I did was I found a 6293 tube, I think, which is plugs in place of the 6146. 6146 takes 900 plate volts, and when you beef everything up, you're kind of pushing the tube. The 6293, I think that's the number, plate volts on that is 3,000. So you put that tube in there, tune and load everything, put the max modulator in. You'll do a tiny bit less power, tiny bit less swing, but you can talk all day and all night. That tube will handle it.
That's for your old buzzard style transmission. And whatever you run now, it handles it quite well. All right, good stuff. I can see why those are, at least the transmitters are sought after. It sounds like the thing to do is get yourself the transmitter, do the beefing up that you want to do, and then pair it with a nice Browning receiver, or maybe Collins, R390, and you will have some good stuff. All right, thanks Harvey for staying up overtime. Thanks everybody for staying up overtime. Let me see if there's any other stations that would like to check in, and then we will skedaddle out of here. Over. And Brian says he thought he was on 75 meters. Well, that's what I like. AM is a great mode. Sideband is good. AM is just a great mode for taking the long old buzzard transmissions. You know, you hear that relay kick in, the transmitter goes thump, and you are on the air. So you might as well take a transmission. Of course, the 6K wide, the 8K wide bandwidth gets your full fidelity audio, and it really brings out the personality of the person at the microphonium. And the way we're talking here is, I think, very indicative of what you might have heard when these radios were brand new in 1963 or 64, sort of before the big early 70s CB craze that sort of changed and accentuated everything. So this is a good trip down memory lane. All right, speaking of memory lane, I'm trying to see if anybody is awake. Still awake next door so we can get this thing going here.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals, you know, I've added up the SWLs, but I didn't really look at the radios to see who was the most heard manufacturer. And it's possible we might have a tie. I see 1, 2, 3 Brownings all at the end of the program here, so we'll call that 3. But I also see 1, 2 General Radio telephones. We had 2 Regencies tonight, but we had 1, 2, 3 Robins. So it looks like we were going to have a tie for the Robins. I'll go through the whole list here to see what we're doing. But before that, let me go to the SWLs, where we had 13 on page 1, 19 on page 2, 16 on page 3, and 19 on page 4, for a total of 32 and 35, for a total of 67. And I think I do have a tube count, so let's go through the radios. All right, and let's see if we can look at something besides me. There we go. We started out with a Tram TR70C. What was interesting about the Tram TR70C? Well, the fact that it's the Tram TR70C, but the fact that it was running mobile. Yeah, it was running off a 12-volt supply in a car, in a station at rest, on a mobile antenna, but they do work that way. Probably a better way to do it. You didn't have to worry about the tune and load and careening off the road. So Cliff did a good job on that, on getting, and we don't get that many, but getting some mobile radio here tonight. Radio number 2, Paul, on the Buddy base we were talking about from Meridian Communications, the RX-11B, TX-11B. His was standard, didn't have any of the modifications that we were talking about, but still sounded pretty darn good. Radio number 3 tonight was Jerry on his General Radio Telephone MC5. Thanks for the display of the Q-Bird. It's been a little while since we've heard that. Radio number 4, Chris was on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Radio 5 was the Regency Range Gain 2. And I'm going to have to go back and watch the archives and see what the difference between that and the Regency Imperial. I really think that Imperial's got the AM carrier up too high, because when you went to sideband, that was fun. The Range Gain 2, Radio 5, Radio 6, Mr. Ed on the Tram TR27E, the big box from the TR70C, the base version. The Regency Imperial double sideband AM was radio number 7, followed by Radio 8, the Robin T123, and the 123B, both from SWL 47, Mike. Then we had the Browning Golden Eagle, thanks to the CD. I'm glad you guys got an autographed copy from the Espresso Trucking Company. That did help. That did help to get them in first place, at least for a time anyway. The Browning Golden Eagle R68, T68 from Ed, followed by the R2700 S9 transmitter from Harvey for Radio 11, and Radio 12, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. So the Browning triple play coming on strong. And thanks to Joe with Radio 13, the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, and the Robin T123B for Radio 14. So with 14 radios tonight, and tubes, you had 10, 12, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 11, 11, 18, 22, 21, 12. Okay. So a total of 159 of the glowing valves heading your way. So not too bad. What did we do? Where's my list from last week? Did I write it down on the paper? No, I wrote it some other paper. See, I'm supposed to write it down on the top of the page so that I can compare these things. So much for being a statistician. 159 tubes tonight. All right, and that's it. It is late. It's almost 11 o'clock. Do you realize when we first started this, we did go to 11 o'clock. We went from 8 to 11 o'clock. But we had, back in 1985 and 87, there were a lot more people on the radio. It wasn't just Channel 11 going online. It was Channel 17 and 19 and 20 and 22 and Channel 3. We had a lot of people popping by, and it wasn't unusual to get a few more radios as well. But we do pretty good. So good night, everybody. Hope you had been having a good week. Things are, should I say things are getting better? I don't know. Because you turn around tomorrow and maybe something else is happening. But we are surviving and getting through this. And like Mike was saying, you sort of take it day at a time and figure out if this part of the plan isn't going quite as well, then check out Plan B and see if you can make something out of that. So good night, everybody. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and the Nixie Tubes and all that good stuff. And we will catch you next week on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thanks, Dennis.
And it's like I said, oh boy, let me get one down here. Like I said, great, wonderful show.
And I didn't seem to blow anything up. I'm just going to get all my video fixed and even bozo controlled. Even the honking proboscis is working.
Can I get it?
Harvey!
And we have stations that watch later on the YouTube video, so I want to say hello and and howdy do to all of you there who may be actually, is it possible to be staying up super late and watching the very end of the video from wherever you might be?
Well, there you go.
All right, trying to find my off button here. Found it for the big glowing 6L6. Good night, everybody, on the audio stream. And good night on the video. I'll try and get that camera fixed.